We'd like to welcome you to another edition of GrokTALK, brought to you by Grok.com, New Hampshire's conservative website. We are your feared, extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone-stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for 2 hours of news and opinion you could only get from Grok.com. GrokTALk. This is GrokTALK, brought to you by GrokTALK.com and the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers, coming to you, as always, from Concord, New Hampshire. Today's guests include Kevin Kervick and Doris Hohenc. I'm having problems enunciating this morning. We're going to start with this little ad that I played Skip, and he really wanted me to play it as part of a campaign ad for somebody else somewhere, but well, you'll get it.
We will keep this promise. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor. Period. If you like the plan you have, you can keep it.
You can keep it. You can keep it.
The obvious parrot being the Democrats in the Senate and the House who repeated everything they were told.
Like Jean Shaheen in New Hampshire.
Like Jean Shaheen in New Hampshire.
And Carol Shea Porter.
And Carol Shea Porter.
And Ann Custer.
And Ann Custer.
And Kelly... Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong one.
Wrong one. And pretty much the entire Democrat apparatus in the state.
Yep, and look what it got us.
Yeah, they have some problems.
They blew up the system as
we
were talking about in the pre-show.
Right, the whole point was to crash healthcare. Healthcare was an institution, and so they're crashing it. Even though there's some 30-plus states that do not have state exchanges after the
36.
36, is it? Most of the states don't have state exchanges, and nobody can get subsidies in those states if they went through healthcare.gov, which, by the way, still doesn't work. If you didn't notice, we wrote about it this week. And so now we've got this...
Well, it's not quite there yet. Almost. If this latest lawsuit, Halbig versus Burrell, goes through, Burrell being the new Secretary of Health and Human Services, it was a case of enforce the letter of the law, which says that only... Why everything went strange. That's why.
I wasn't talking. You couldn't hear yourself?
No.
That wasn't me.
Oh. So anyways, it basically says that only though the IRS is only able by statute to give out subsidies if they are coming from a state-built exchange. And the left is all agog. It's sort of like the arguments against Obamacare being constitutional in the first place. Only Chief Justice Roberts saved them. But they couldn't believe that the argument that was actually put forward almost won, and here they are doing it again. Oh, the intent was to give everybody subsidies. But that's not what the words say.
The intent was to only drive 65 miles an hour. Maybe the intent was to drive 75 miles an hour. I mean, most radar is off, except for laser, by 10% roughly, still here or there. So, 65 miles an hour is really like 71.2 or 0.3 miles an hour, So, maybe you'd get a ticket, maybe you wouldn't. It's really just kind of up to whoever happens to be reading it at the time.
But here, I think this is a classic case of the stark differences between we who actually believe in the rule of law. If the law says something, the plain black and white words are there, you need to follow the law. And the D.C. Court of Appeals upheld what the law said. Now you've got the Fourth Circuit, as I wrote, saying, well, we have to go with the intent of the law. Well, yeah, that's what you would think, but you don't know that. That's not what the words actually say. But the Fourth Circuit went the other way. So you've got these two competing decisions that will end up in the Supreme Court. But then one of the smartest people in the room, MIT professor Jonathan Gruber, got caught saying exactly what the D.C. Court of Appeals said. The whole intent, right from the get-go, was that only those state exchanges were supposed to get IRS credits going to their plan folks. Mm-hmm. And, he's kind of walking it back. Oh, that was a speako, as a verbal typo.
Yeah, speako.
And then...
inventing words, too.
Yes, and then Mr. Sexton over at the Blaze caught him at a prepared speech, audio only, saying exactly what he said in this other speech.
In a prepared speech.
So this is not a speako. you and I have speakos all the time, but we don't get paid for getting absolutely everything correct. We just do this for fun.
Right.
So, it's going to be rather interesting when...
Which makes for a great segue into, hey, donate to GrokTALK.com. Anyway, yeah.
Oh, yes. We have plenty of stuff that we would like to be able to purchase more equipment for better production values, and I still want my drone. I want my drone.
Yeah, but I heard they were really noisy. Somebody told me they're really noisy.
Well, then I'd like some other little cameras, like drop cams and things like that for when we do events.
We do have needs. I mean, and, really, computers and stuff wear out, things go bad, things happen. You have to replace them.
Yeah.
So.
It does. It never goes into our pocket.
Mm-mm.
In fact, money keeps coming out of my pocket. I just paid the server bill again.
Yay. Pay the server bill. Okay, so one of the things we wanted you to take a look at, and I brought this up in the pre-show, was at the top of GrokTALK.com, right underneath the live stream, is a nice post by Susan Olson. War is peace, slavery is freedom, ignorance is strength, Dave Booten is a tax fighter. Booten voted to increase the gas. See, there's this thing that says hardworking, trusted friend of the taxpayer, Dave Booten, State Senate. It's a flyer. It's a mailer, basically. And so Susan clarifies what he says about the hardworking friend of the tax fighter by pointing out that Mr. Booten voted to increase the gas tax by 23%. Booten voted to expand Medicaid, not a state exchange, just greater costs. Mr. Strong, supporter of Second Amendment rights, voted to kill constitutional carry. Mr. Strong, supporter of Second Amendment rights, voted for SB 244, the Mental Illness is a Crime Bill. Booten voted against right to work, effectively forcing workers to join a private union club and allowing it to expropriate part of a worker's income. Yeah, trusted friend of someone, just not the taxpayer.
Yeah, and we had another one of those rogue Republicans, Mr. Jeb Bradley, who sadly we kind of supported in that special election, which got him into the New Hampshire State Senate Club.
He was better than Bathroom Bill.
I'm beginning to wonder.
Phone call.
Oh, a phone call.
Probably Mike, maybe? I'm just going to guess. I'm going to guess it's Mike.
It's number 1.
I don't know which one he's in. No, it's probably not Mike then. Somebody's calling.
Somebody's calling. Ed is flashing. Good morning. This is GrokTALK. It's the what?
West Coast Flasher.
The West Coast Flasher. Yes. Well, good morning, sir. How are you?
It's Mike, damn it.
I know who you are. It's that southern accent of yours that gives you away.
A southern accent.
It certainly does, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Well, hello, Mike. How are you?
Good morning, Steve. I see you had an empty chair there, so I thought I'd fill it virtually.
Thank you. Very good of you. Anyway, we were just kind of going through the list. You probably heard.
You were kicking one of our state senate asses, so I'll let you carry on with that, and I'll get into it with you in a moment.
Well, we went from the Booten ass to the Bradley ass, and
yeah, I just could not help myself. I think it should be upon all of us at Granite Rock that when one of us sees some of these rogue Republicans who just go against the party platform in major and diverse ways, we need to call that to the attention of their constituents, because some people might just read through this, not knowing the backstory, and just blowing up their claims, like one would pop a balloon with a pin.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I've been reading rather slowly over the last couple of months Richard Viguery's Takeover, which I recommend, and I should post a link on the Grok, which is about the history of the perfidy of the establishment Republicans and how they undermined Goldwater, Reagan, and anybody else who was any good, trying to get to the White House or to anywhere. But in the section on the abandonment of all principles in the House, guess who gets top billing? Well, or who gets mentioned in a very short sentence of people who lost their seats deservedly so in 2006 and 2008. Diddle-it. Jimmy boy.
Well, there's also a book out by Kirk Schlechter, and I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to go look. But Instapundit's been whacking on this. Think of it as rules for conservative radicals and activists on steroids. And it's basically how do we bring the left down? By activism. Let's do to them what they've been doing to us for years. And I'll tell you, they don't seem to like it much.
Oh, no, they don't.
They never have, and one of the earliest things that I discovered as a blogger was that they snap like twigs. I mean, the very first post I ever wrote on NH Insider created such epic outrage. I was just like, I know what I want to do with my life. You know,
if I could upset this many people this easily while having a point and some principles, then boy, oh boy, let me do more of this.
Right,
Yes.
and they really can't take it. I mean, you can ridicule them, and they're not. I mean, they really aren't very good at responding to their own rules for radicals. I mean, when you use any of this stuff on them, they're like, oh, well, they're like, wait, they're like this. Here it is. Oh, wait, it's not on. Let me try again. That's really loud.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that's what they sound like. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we do here, though. You know, we kind of skewer progressives, regardless of party affiliation.
And sometimes we even spank our friends when they decide to go off the straight and narrow. They don't like it either, but they understand. They get mad, but they kind of understand.
Well, thinking of friends and not quite understanding, you were telling me that Andy Sanborn has never volunteered to come on GrokTALk, even though he's fairly conservative most of the time.
Yeah, I've extended the offer several times recently, and he has not chosen to bring up the invite and actually showed up here, even though his restaurant's just a few blocks down the street.
My guess is that, there are certain people who would rather we not endorse them, who would rather we not have on our show, who would rather not come visit us, because they're afraid that there's a perception among a certain circle of people in the New Hampshire political universe who might see that as being bad for their optics.
Yeah, in other words, they might be actually perceived as conservative radicals, even though Democrat radicals are considered to be a great thing.
I mean, I don't understand what the big deal is. All we are is Constitution and platform-loving folks. We just have an attitude about it.
Yeah, I'm curious why. Here we are defending the Republican platform. Why wouldn't a Republican candidate want to come on the program and talk to us about those things?
And we've got another empty seat because I think somebody that was supposed to be here isn't.
Well, we won't know because he wasn't supposed to be here until 10.
I thought we hit the 9:30 slot, but whatever.
No,
we'll leave that name. We'll leave that name aside for the moment and hope that he comes in. And I met one of his staff yesterday.
Former
staff, yes.
Do tell.
So there I am at the company headquarters on the left coast, and it's a high-tech company. And my elderly but very very together boss gets up and talks about operations, and he pulls me in front of the crowd, and there's a large physical and virtual crowd. We got the cameras on, and says, "So Mike, tell us all about support." So I do the usual stuff, and then the CEO turns around and says, "So ask Mike some questions. Ask him about the Republican Party." Because when I got hired here a couple of years ago, and I know these people, but I've known the CTO for many years. I've known both of them about the same length of time, but I've known the CTO rather better. So I get interviewed at dinner, and they say something that gets me going. And a bit later, apparently, the CEO turned to the CTO and said, "Did you know he was like this?" Yeah, I've known for years. So I was standing up, and the first up with a question is my boss's boss, who just says quietly, "Tell us about Walt Havenstein." Well, I managed to remain standing because that was totally unexpected, and I said a few of the things that we know about him, that everybody who worked with him thinks he's a wonderful guy, but he doesn't seem to have the political skills. And he's managed to offend some people unnecessarily. I didn't go too deep into it. And then the VP of Sales says, "Tell us about Hillary Clinton." I can't make this stuff up. So I give him my two-word description, Red Queen, as in communist and people lose their heads around her. And then said, "But never mind Hillary, watch out for Elizabeth Warren," which I think is a good segue back to Granite Grok, because I tapped into some of the goings-on at Nutroots via YouTube, and I found out that Elizabeth Warren had given an absolutely bang-up speech with the evil minions literally jumping up and down in their seats, yelling, "Run, Liz, run," with placards.
Yeah, indeed. She seems to be the rock star of the moment right now, which means that...
Why not another just elected senator for president? That worked out so well the first time. We're going to come right back to this. Hang on, stay on the line. We're going to take 60 seconds, and we will continue with GrokTALK.
Few things are as important as finding the right doctor. And under Obamacare, that's harder than ever. Over a third of our hospitals no longer available. Our doctors no longer covered. Fewer choices, longer drives. No state has been harder hit than us. And even after watching it impact New Hampshire, Congresswoman Ann Custer still supports it. Call Ann Custer. Tell her Obamacare isn't working for New Hampshire.
Senator Jeanne Shaheen said, if you like your current health plan, you can keep it. That's not true, Senator. 22,000 New Hampshire citizens have been kicked off their insurance plans. Hospitals in Rochester, Concord, and Portsmouth, they aren't allowed to provide care under the exchange. Senator, you were wrong in your comments. You should apologize for your misleading remarks. I'm calling Senator Shaheen at 750-3004 and telling her I want my doctor back. You should too.
Paid for by saberpac.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
All right, we're back.
Go ahead, keep playing.
Get my own mix going here.
You know, you do all the work.
All right, let's get Mike back in the conversation. I'm done playing. Go ahead.
Mike, he puts all the time into doing this. We have to at least let him show it off and play a bit.
We do, and I love the jingles and the ads and all the stuff he puts together. And Steve, it's a great part of the overall thing, and I thoroughly enjoy it. Ruh-roh, he's got something going on you, I think. so just to fix the thank you. Just to fix the rolling segues there. So. First of all, Elizabeth Warren is standing up there, and the crowd's going wild. And if she manages to excite enough of the party, I think she'll do great. Incredible socialist populism. She really knows how to package it. But you got to listen to the words carefully. There's a good bit of lying in there. But one of the interesting things was how she took credit for the creation and existence of the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, of which, by the way, she was nearly the head until she got the Senate job, kind of by accident due to a failing Republican. But nowhere was it mentioned that Republican she defeated, Mr. Brown, was in fact one of the people largely responsible for bringing us Dodd-Frank and all the that flowed from it, including said CFPB, of which she thought she was so proud because she had been lobbying for its creation in D.C. Prior to herself being elected.
Hey, Mike, I find it so ironic that here's the this Consumer Financial Protection Agency or Bureau, and what's the first thing that they do? They're accused of being sexist and discriminatory. And they've already overspent their budget for redoing their digs by, 300%? It's up to $256 million at this point. Yeah, this is protection of who? Bureaucrats?
Oh, of course. Just like government in New Hampshire tries to protect government first. Like police forces these days are beginning to protect police before citizens. Although I'm pleased to say a lot, nearly all, small New Hampshire towns have very good police forces. Absolutely. And by the way, I don't think that's the worst thing they've done. The worst thing they did so far, aside from all the nickel and dime fees that have caused banks to raise your cost of banking as a little person, is what they did about 2 weeks ago when they announced to all and sundry that they were arrogating to themselves the power to close down any business, anywhere, anytime, without any presentation of probable cause, or maybe that was all they had to present. But the point is that they could issue a cease and desist order, and then it was good luck getting your day in court.
Yeah, basically it's sort of like Stalin and Mao, where both of them have effectively said, in other words, to get to the goal, to make sure that our utopia is reached, a few eggs must be broken. We little people are merely collateral damage to the greater good.
We're batteries, like in the Matrix.
Yes.
Pretty much that's it. We serve some higher purpose of which we are too tiny to participate.
Well, Obama did say that we don't, in fact, I've got to put it up. I got so much I could post. I could be doing this 24/7. He said something to the effect that most people don't have the time to think about the little thing. I mean, the big things like Benghazi, yada,
Yeah,
yada,
like
yada.
Barack Obama.
Yeah. Well,
doesn't have
basically,
time.
I thought it was very insulting. Because he basically said, you shouldn't have to concern yourself with such things. Let us take care of that. It's like, how condescending can you be?
Yeah, no kidding. I was going to say, Mr. Obama, do you have some time to talk about... Oh, no, I don't. You're busy golfing. I'm sorry.
Yeah. There's a cartoon up there, by the way, Lincoln and Obama on foreign.
4 score and 7 years ago. Yeah, I saw
4
that.
score 7 versus 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, something big happened in New Hampshire this week, and we need to talk about it. SB 319, which was the buffer zone bill, which we talked about after the Massachusetts bill was ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court, SB 319 has been blocked by a federal court while they investigate its constitutionality. And so that's pretty good news.
Late term aborted.
Late term aborted SB 319. Yes, I think that's a very actually this
Thumbs
might
up.
even be a live birth abortion of SB 319.
Late term abortion.
Oh, could be live birth if they haven't enforced it yet, right? So
Correct.
Still late term then. Okay. All right. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
pretty important stuff. The other thing.
Gosnell.
It's been Gosnell. Well, not quite yet. He's got the scissors ready. He's all set to go.
That'll take off the abortionists.
Yeah, and then well, that's the goal. Absolutely. Because remember, they can't take the ridicule. Governor Hassan has decided to has mentioned at least that she intends to begin taxing leases using the real estate transfers tax. There I go with that. Again, real estate transfers tax. Current statute says that lease transfers for 99 years or more can be taxed, but anything under 99 years cannot be, and she has decided, apparently, that she's going to tax them anyway, and she has no statutory authority to do so. So, get out there.
Can we persuade enough of the people not to pay that it becomes a resistance movement?
I think the resistance movement is that she doesn't have the power, and we're going to talk about it. My suggestion this week on GrokTALK was that everybody who is in a race with a Democrat, which is just about everybody, there's a few exceptions, needs to ask that candidate whom they are challenging what their stance is on the governor just assuming taxing powers that neither the Constitution nor state law give her. Why don't you ask your Democrat candidate, how do you feel about Governor Hassan just, I don't know, creating power for herself out of thin air? How's that work for you?
The Democrats would actually think that that's a great deal.
Yeah, but you want them to say it. You want them to say it in public. Yes, I think the governor should just make up taxes out of thin air. Get him to say it.
Well, that's true.
That's the point.
That's true. We all know that is the point I was going to take. But yeah, you're right. Let's get them on record.
That's what I think this is an excellent opportunity, and I hope some people...
Yeah. So what leases does it cover, Steve? Are we just talking about ground rent leases where
it's ground rent leases.
So in other words, you've got yourself a trailer home, possibly in a very nice park, and you're paying your ground rent of a few $100 a month, and now they're taxing that ground rent and pushing it up a few tens of bucks on
Well,
top.
it would be transfers. So whenever anybody engaged in a lease transfer, or because you know how they have a transfer tax for real estate,
Yes.
that when you buy property, well, this would apply to lease transfers, ground lease transfers of less than 99 years.
Mm-hmm. So, in other words, once again, the Democrats are protecting the little people because generally the people in the kind of homes that have lease and ground rent are, in fact, the ones that are struggling to make it.
Those are the ones that will be taxed, correct.
Well, here's the other thing. And you know that there's also the inversion that's going on at the federal level where now Now Obama and people like Dick Durbin and Harry Reid are all screaming economic patriotism against the companies who are basically saying, we're getting out of this crony capitalist scene that these Democrats have created with the high taxes. So they buy a subsidiary company overseas, and then they move their headquarters over there to avoid a lot of the regulation and a whole mess of the taxes. It is only when a governmental entity is so strapped for cash that they start looking at this stuff, trying to keep every cent from running away. And I think Maggie Hassan, knowing what's been blown up here in the state, is doing the exact same thing with this real estate tax, Steve and Mike, that they're grasping for straws. So you know things are desperate, and they don't seem to understand, or maybe they're finally proving that old saw, and I've got to put the cartoon up, where the IRS is doing an audit, and they're all laughing over one of the statements by the person being audited. He thinks it's his money. And really, that's the way a lot of these Democrats think with these corporate inversions, that saying, how dare they take their tax money away from us? And again, they're going after all of the cash that the American companies have overseas. They don't want to bring it back because 1/3 of it goes right to goes right to the feds, and the feds are going, you need to bring that money back, not for the sake of the American worker, but they know it's going to fill the government coffers, and the companies are going, no, and they don't like it.
Well, I mean, you've got $17 trillion in debt. That money's got to come from somewhere. They got to steal it from somebody, and corporations have money.
But they're not going to use it to pay down that money.
No, they're not.
They're
just
going to spend it on something else.
That's the best part, and
That's
people
the
really
problem.
need to grasp that they're not. There's absolutely no interest. I mean, these are the same people that ran on 9 to 10 trillion being irresponsible, who then added another 8 trillion in 5 very short years, 6 years now.
Yeah, and Boehner just said, we've got another continuing resolution that's going to have to be put into place very soon to keep the government going, because the regular order isn't working for doing a normal bill for the normal departments, yada, yada, yada. Do you really think that they're going to cut the spending in that CR? No, I bet you it's going to be Franken all over again. Spending is going to go up. And
Mike, stay on the line. We're going to come back with you in a minute. Let me turn you off there. Well, that's the end of the first segment. Our next guest has not arrived yet, but hopefully he's waiting out in the foyer, or is on his way up the stairs, or finding parking or something. This is GrokTALK, brought to you by Granite Grok Tom, GraniteGrokTom, and CNHT. And I'm Steve McDonald here with Skip Murphy. Mike Rogers is in California on the phone, very early over there, drinking his tea and contributing to the conversation. And we'll be right back in a couple minutes.
He tried to make us believe he was a fiscal conservative, but State Senator Jeb Bradley has been deceiving New Hampshire taxpayers. Like a wolf in sheep's clothing, he claimed to be one of us, pretending to blend in, but all along voting like a liberal Democrat. And oh, how he drooled at the opportunity to vote to expand Obamacare, which will result in higher taxes and longer wait times in the emergency room. And now, Senator Bradley is leading the charge to try and pass a Senate bill to prevent us from criticizing his vote. Call Senator Bradley at 603-569-4208 and tell him that we're on to his wolf in sheep's clothing routine. Tell him to stop pretending to be a fiscal conservative and start voting like one. Paid for by Citizens for a Strong New Hampshire.
Hi, this is Rich Gerard, host of Gerard at Large in the Morning, the Manchester area's only locally owned, locally operated, focused, and interested, riveting radio show, heard live every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 on 90.7 FM WLMW, New Hampshire Family Radio, and available 24/7 live or archived at GerardAtLarge.com. Be sure to tune in.
This is the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is the repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now at the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.
Hi, this is Rich Gerard, host of Gerard at Large in the Morning. You're listening to GrokTALK.
Grok TV.